board. Okay, well, I'm glad to know that we all found some common ground. So, how do you think I should proceed from here? What do I do with this gift? I'm still confused.
I'd like to tell you how I feel, but I'm afraid that everyone's going to misperceive what I'm saying. I don't want to offend anyone, especially now that I know that we all do have Cheryl's needs in mind.
Me too. I'm afraid to proceed further, but I do want to help you, Katie, for Cheryl's sake too.
Okay, so I might have another idea, guys. If you're willing, let's brainstorm some more options for Katie in a healthy way. There was this really cool guy named Marshall Rosenberg, and he came up with this technique called nonviolent communication, and it's really focused on like expressing what we feel appropriately without really making judgments or criticizing others' opinions. Another important aspect of NVC is in listening, and even when it appears or it sounds like other people are really making judgments or insults about us, we really need to be able to listen through that to kind of understand and identify what they're actually expressing in unmet needs. Marshall Rosenberg, he actually says, any evaluation that implies wrongness is actually a tragic expression of an unmet need. So this is all in an effort to kind of avoid conflict. I think we're making progress here. We have, especially in the beginning, we showed a lot of kind of violent communication, some aggression toward each other. And I think this will be an effective method. Do you guys have any questions about it so far?
No? Sounds good.
We'll try it. We'll try it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take turns sharing what we think kind of objectively and without judgment, and let's really make a point to try to kind of hear each other out, especially the really opposing viewpoints. And we have a format here, and I'll share that with you guys. We'll say something like, I think or I feel blank, whatever you feel, should be done with Cheryl's gift. And then I feel this way because, and then offer your explanation.
Okay.
Try that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I think Katie should return Cheryl's gift, and I feel this way because Cheryl and her family have had extensive financial hardships, and because it may lead to resentment later down the road. It could cause harm.
Do you think Katie should keep the gift because Cheryl's on her deathbed? What about cultural norms? I just feel like it would hurt Cheryl's feelings and offend her to return the vase. I think we should keep it, and I feel this way for Cheryl's sake.
That's really excellent for sure. Thank you for your honesty and definitely open-mindedness. It sounds like we've come a long way from the beginning of our discussion, where we all seemed so convinced that we were completely right and we were kind of unwilling to hear each other out. How did it feel to kind of express your ideas using nonviolent communication?
I would say calmer and less confrontational for sure.
Yeah, I felt like I was able to listen more clearly.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I was really able to hear everyone's points of view more. And I want to share also that I just feel so seen, heard, and known by all of you. And I feel really appreciative that you all took so much time to help me with this dilemma, and that you were all, by the end, just able to be so honest with me. And I really feel ready to make the decision now, thanks to all of you. I've considered what you said, and taking into account the fact that, Cheryl's a first-generation immigrant from Hong Kong, and that norms around gift giving there, from what she's told me and what I've looked into, are very complicated and not something that I fully understand. I want to make sure to proceed with caution still, as you both have emphasized that Cheryl's the most important person in this situation. And given her age and her vulnerability and her family situation and her financial situation, There's just so much to consider here. So again, I just appreciate all of you. And I have decided that the concrete action I'm going to take based on my needs to be caring towards Cheryl is to return the vase with her favorite flowers in them. I agree with Carrie that it could cause harm to keep the vase. I also agree with Shannon that I want to avoid hurting Cheryl in any way. So I've decided to return it, but to thank her for allowing me to borrow it. So I'll treat it as a loan, and I'll fill it up with her favorite flowers to thank her for allowing me to use it. And I'll let her know that I'm taking some photos and keeping those so that I'll always have the gift with me, but her family will be able to have the physical vase.
That's awesome. You know what? You're right, Katie. And Carrie, you're right too. I think you've pretty much swayed my view in a way. I mean, I'm half and half. I agree that you should return the vase considering the circumstances. And if Cheryl's family decides that you should keep it, maybe they're going to return it to you. I mean, you never know. Integrity is important, and so is caring for Cheryl, the most important person here, and her well-being along with her families.
Yeah, I respect your choice as well.
Thank you.
I do too.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. End scene. That's the end of our role play scenario. So now we're going to transition into our discussion portion. The first thing we're going to talk about is the diversity and oppressive factors. There were several diversity and oppressive factors between the client, Cheryl, and Katie that were impacting her decision to return the gift, and also impacting the conflicting opinions among all of us social workers involved in this discussion. One of the first diversity and oppressive factors to consider was Cheryl's age and culture. Violating generational and cultural norms related to gift giving and receiving could impact the therapeutic relationship. Another factor to consider was Cheryl's hospice status and her health status. Potential damage to the therapeutic relationship or a sense of rejection over receiving or not receiving the gift may impact Cheryl's mental and physical health while she's on hospice care. Also, Cheryl's financial status is something to consider. Accepting a gift while Cheryl and her family are in financial hardship may spawn resentment and conflict amongst her and her family members. She may even come to resent Katie in the future, too, for her financial hardship or for the friction it may cause in her family. And lastly, we also have to consider Cheryl's position as a client in relation to a social worker. There's an undeniable power dynamic, whether we create one or not. There just is one sometimes. And accepting the gift could either blur boundaries, and not accepting the gift could rigidize boundaries and damage a sense of authenticity within the relationship.
So now I'm going to talk about give an introduction to the two techniques that we used. The first technique was talking papers. And so this technique allows people to write down their thoughts or feelings or their needs. And then a facilitator, as you saw in the video, will arrange them on a wall. And so people are able to submit their perspectives anonymously, and then everyone can see the connections between everyone's perspectives and opinions and input. And again, since they're able to submit them anonymously, they're able to express more freely, and they don't need to worry about being judged as much. And the ideas that they're presenting can be discussed rather than rather than getting distracted by where the ideas have come from, what person they've come from. And the second technique was nonviolent communication, which is a way to communicate that emphasizes people stating their needs and their feelings with concrete actions that can be taken in that particular moment. And one of the main concepts in nonviolent communication is that you should communicate like a giraffe rather than a jackal. So the way that a jackal communicates is that they're very prone to blaming and criticizing a lot, and really like digging into their own point of view without seeing other people's or being willing to move. And jackal communication is making a lot of demands rather than just clear requests. And giraffe communication, on the other hand, is all about empathy. That's the main thing. And that allows the giraffe style of communication to connect you to others more. It's about making sure everyone's feelings are placed in high regard and respected. And requests are made that help with connection. So that would be, if you're not understanding what somebody's saying, just requesting some clarification.
Absolutely. Thank you. And just building off of Katie's discussion of the techniques, we kind of use these exercises to develop methods of conflict resolution within our presentation. The first, like Katie said, was called Talking Papers, and it was mostly just an opportunity for everyone to express viewpoints and reasons for their decision anonymously and without danger of judgment or criticism. Also, once we got our viewpoints up on the wall, once we got our reasons up on the wall, we kind of noticed that we kind of had some similar concerns for the client, for the family of the client, and then for Katie as a professional. Some of these concerns that we came up with back here on this wall were to do no harm, to uphold ethical boundaries, respect was a big one, strengthening connections, and protection for, like I said, Cheryl, her family, and professionals involved. And then Talking Papers kind of helped everybody get on the same page, but then we still needed to kind of make a decision about this base. So we brought in a second exercise called nonviolent communication, and this technique was incorporated to kind of facilitate further into conflict resolution, specifically encouraging everybody to express their feelings, their needs, their opinions, without blaming other people or making criticisms or judgments about others' opinions. It was also really significant in helping us to arrive at a final decision about what to do with this item, because MVC is a really helpful tool in kind of linking needs and feelings with concrete actions.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Chloe. And in conclusion, we want to talk about how our group ended and the stage we ended in. We feel that our group ended in the community stage, and we feel this way because we're all respectful of Katie's decision to return the gift, even if we don't all agree. And I guess you could say that's kind of an agree to disagree situation. We wanted what was best for Cheryl. We said that from the beginning of our talk about it, that the client is the number one person in this decision. And we have a respect for each other too, even through our differing opinions. We also want to talk about some challenges that we faced throughout this project. And when we were deciding what we wanted to do for the project before Cheryl existed, before any of this started, we had a lot of difficulty deciding how to include everyone in the presentation and make sure that everyone had a role. So basically, I was the person who agreed with Katie, or I guess agreed on keeping the gift. Chloe was a facilitator. Carrie was the person who disagreed on keeping the gift, and Katie was the one with the problem.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Another issue that we kind of faced, or one of the challenges, was around scheduling, of course, because we all work full-time jobs, one or more full-time jobs. And we're doing this big MSW program thing, and life is chaotic. So scheduling was kind of complicated, but we seemed to work through it okay.
Mm-hmm. Another one of the issues we faced was just coming up with a creative scenario and creative like script content, and also that was realistic and would make sense and could be something applicable to any of our lives professionally after here. So that was sometimes a struggle.
Yeah. Another challenge that we faced and overcame was that we had to make sure that since everybody has differing points of view, just like in the video, just like the social workers that we played in the video, we had to make sure we were all our thoughts were all aligning. And so the way that we made sure we were all on the same page was during our meetings each week. We made sure we were on the same page, and we also had communication in a presentation planning Google Doc where we all contributed ideas, and everybody was very respectful and made sure to make notes under their under all their contributions, that wherever they had questions, or just to make sure that everyone felt welcome to change things if they wanted to, and just like to signal that everybody was feeling open-minded and was willing to get on the same page.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for watching our presentation. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.